And hey guys, more of the scattered pictures. So this was up in the Queen Charlotte's, nothing to do with me. Somebody gave me this photo. My wife was a photographer and she retouched it. It had faded out. So she brought it back to life and then we got to keep a copy. That was a different time and world then. It was before my time. Well, not really. That would have been the 70s or 80s. That was just everyday stuff in BC. 18-year-old would drop out of school and go get shipped on a float plane, go up to the Queen Charlotte Islands or somewhere up the coast and be hooking 27-foot chokers on butt rigging off a Medillo 09, dragging those things out of the swamp and off the side hills. There's opportunity everywhere then. Of course, I ended up in one of these stupid things as Daewoo. I built our own guarding for it. I guess I became a welder out of necessity. In high school, my extracurricular project, everybody had something they were building, an engine stand or a project, and I brought in a Linn digging bucket, 4-tooth digging bucket off a link belt excavator there. Spent every class working on it, hard surfacing, putting patterns on the bucket, staying late and doing all that. People thought I was a little odd, but one of our backyard land clearing acreage jobs. Pushing up with a cat and building a berm on the side to get rid of the stuff with the excavator. That was just in traffic one day. This was probably 96 or 7, doesn't say. That's a rolled over logging truck. If you looked at it that way, you'd see that it was a Kenworth T800 green high hood. I'd come around the corner a little aggressively. Splattered a load out. Glad I had a camera, so everybody's got their phone now. 25 years ago, you had to have a camera on you. This was just a picture I came across, sort of given to me. Pacific. It's a neat picture. Probably from the date 1997. This was a timber sale on the east end of Vedder Mountain in 1995 or 6. 790E. Not known for good electronics, those E-series. Bad computers. They're like -2 Hitachis. That company was Foreman's. You can see their little round logo. Foreman's out of Boston Bar, BC. Oops, I'm going to show up again. There I was near a Barco 550. My little Yamaha MX 100. If there was gates closed or active logging or you couldn't get in there, you'd take the little couple 100-pound motorbike and get right up into the action. I didn't take this. This was a shared photo. Vancouver Island, I think. It was myself throwing logs around. Sometimes this was off season, the leaves are all off, so this was probably in the winter. And it was easy. It's called hoe chucking. You just throw the logs 4 or 5 times, and as you're doing it, you sort them, how you want. Tops here, tops there. Sort out cottonwoods, hardwoods, saw logs, chip stuff. So as you throw it towards you, you end up with a neater sorted piles. And it was all muddy there, so you run around on the tops and branches and make little punching roads. And not skid trail, but make little trail to work off of. And it just didn't pay to bring in a skidder and dragging everything around, making ruts. So it's effective. You can throw it 4 or 5 times and it still adds up. This was the world's ugliest skidder I ever saw. I didn't take this out of interest. I took this out of awe. I couldn't believe somebody made a living with this thing. This was a BC timber sale. Well, way up back into Stave Lake. I don't know if it was a little salvage one. It was a real small cut block, but I hadn't seen a skidder that rough. And it was a gear jammer. It had a gear shift on it, probably a 4-speed with a foot clutch. That was a load of poles we did. I mean, all loggers do poles. You get way more money for them. I think we might have bumped one stop sign at an intersection going around the corner with that. That wasn't our truck. We couldn't haul that long. That one pole would have been a good one. probably had a 10-inch top on it there. Poles go, class 1 is a 12-inch top, class 2 is a 10-inch top, class 3, 4, and 5 go like 8 and 7 and whatever other size. But you can't get class 5s, and you can't get the lower class of poles in the higher lengths because they need the big top size. There's good money in those though. Oh man, now we're going back to high school. I had a Honda Odyssey, but I don't know if I want to get into all this, but this is way off topic. But the old Kodak 110, glad I took them. But ETCs and Honda Odysseys, they dredged the Fraser River. Well, what now is called the Golden Ears Bridge. This was right underneath. They still dredge. They still have a spot there, but it was the Wild West back then. Anyway, so I've always been into that stuff. But there's the mighty Fraser River in behind it. But man, we had the best honest fun growing up. 1988, 89. There's throw our toys in the truck there. Just go bombing around. Tipping over, flipping over. So we'd go straight up and down these banks there. Anyways, yeah, that was fun. Back to the woods. That was an excavator we were going to buy. We ran it a bit, but it had a bit too much baggage. It was in 1981. That was in 1987. They wanted $50,000 for it. We might have maybe bought it, and the cleanup bucket was way too narrow on it. It only had one bucket, so it's just a little bit too much baggage. Oh, I got lots of these. That was my, oh man, I'm really digressing. This was my truck I built in high school. I built the hood scoop on the pan brake, the metal brake. I built the bumpers for it, and the tube metal ones, and the Nerf bars, and put a 2-inch lift kit in it in automotive class. And spray painted the stripes on it. So I think we're back, getting back too far here. There we go. Vancouver Island, McMillan Bloedel. It's probably one of the best companies BC ever produced. Harvey Reginald McMillan produced. Crying shame it's gone. So we had Interfor, Canfor, Western Forest Products, McMillan Bloedel. Good noble companies. Yeah, my skidder. That's nothing went good with that thing. That one's still in existence. Nice little TMI 45. Had some upgrades done to it. That thing still produces, I think. So. My toys that I built. So again, just evidence of the sickness. So not enough to do it all day and go hunt it out all weekend, but you also got to have little toys when it's dark out in the evening, when it's dark and rainy and you can't go outside. You got to have your own logging gear in your basement. So. Don't regret building them, but hard to explain to someone a passion for something that's this overtaking, or was. This was up in Squamish. That was Triple C Trucking. If you haven't stood by a fat truck, which is considered derogatory, if you haven't stood by an off-highway log hauler fully loaded like that, you just haven't experienced a portion of life. You just feel like a bug. Like, I'm not crouched down there like that. Your eye level is like at the fender on those things. They're just monstrous. 110 tons on there. They've been known to haul 150 and more. Bruce Burritt truck. Nice 5-piece load of Douglas fir off the mountain. It's up in Squamish, BC. Probably 1994. That was a truck that used to haul for us a little bit. Well, a guy that had a bunch of trucks that would haul around here for everybody. He's fairly well known. He's retired since. Here I am on my motorbike going checking out new logging road being pioneered. I don't know what we're gonna find here. That's Nancy Woodfin. I was on Vancouver Island. Blonde-haired lady log truck driver. She owns it. She drives it. That's cool. So, no denying that. It was a job we did for another logger. Not a good logger, just a logger, a wannabe logger. We ran his skidder, or put our guy on it, and did the hoe chucking, cut the road trails up into the hill. It's a nice stand of wood. There I am with our D7 cat. We'd log with that. We had a winch and an arch on the back. Like Beal's brush rake on the front. Yeah, I'm in all of these. Okay, I'm in that one. So. A finished up job. That was at the place where I built my heel and grapple for the 270 there. I was trying it out in some scrap metal. Oh, now we're right off the mount. That was my dog Grizz, our family's dog. That was my backyard where I grew up. That was from 71 till 2005. No, I left home in 1992, but that was our John Deere 110. Man, I did work with that, pulling logs and doing stuff with it. We had a huge backyard, chicken coop, 2.5 acres. Well-respected, well-known outfit out here because there's not many left. They run older equipment, but it's well took care of. Stand-up guys. They do a lot of stuff. Basically, they specialize in the woodlots, which around here means you'd have 1,000 acres, and they'd cut, I don't know, I can't remember, 600, 700, 800 meters, 1,000 cubic meters a year, just a small amount sustainably. Faller. This was a job we did in a peat bog. I bid this job. Nobody else would touch it. Some other well-known guys looked at it. I took a birch log with the excavator, punched it straight down. It went about 20 feet until it stopped. It was just jiggly jello. And I give a contract price, I think at $28 or $30 a cubic meter from stump to dump. That was hauled to the log yard across the river. And we made money. We did just fine. And the owner, the logger that we did it for, subbed it to, was so happy. He sent us in, that was this guy, he sent us in a faller for free at like $450 a day. He was so impressed that we could do it. Nobody else would touch it. And I went in there with a 270 and we, just with a grapple, we hoe chucked that whole bog. Never even come close to getting a boot full or wet. It was standing water. It was just, you'd pull over a tree and the roots were only a foot thick, but 30 feet wide. But if you know how to do it, you can float on water. So I'll take an excavator anywhere, absolutely anywhere. I would go against anyone on an excavator competition or strongman excavator competition or danger factor. John Deere 540s, the brake, water table right there. I'll go into the toy show on the American side there, so I have a collection that rivals all of that. A hot rod logging truck. So you know you're twisted when your weekend ride for getting ice cream is a small block Chevy'd reproduction logging truck.